Serious people of Reddit who claim to have seen a mythical creature, such as fairies, elves, gnomes, etc. What is your story? I think I saw a banshee once. I was alone at home when I heard a scream coming from outside. I looked out the window to see a black figure in the distance. I looked away for a second and it was gone. A few weeks later my uncle would die of cancer. Every time I speak about this, I get watery eyes, like I'm about to cry, and I'm not sure why, because it's not sad. Anyway, when I was pregnant I had severe morning sickness. So bad I lost weight instead of gaining. One morning I was feeling awful and praying/wishing I could feel normal. I remember turning my head to the side and there standing by the bed staring at me was a little short cherub looking man. Its shoulders came up to the top of the mattress and it was wearing some kind of greenish crown. Like IV. Strangest thing I've ever witnessed in my life. Maybe a hallucination from being sick. I'm not sure, but it was very real to me. Did it seem pleasant? Could you sense any sort of vibe? Good or bad? I wasn't scared of him. We just looked at each other. No talking. I didn't feel anything except a WTF feeling. I remember thinking to myself, is this really happening? He just stood there for several seconds and then was gone. I posted about this on another thread, but we saw a gnome once. One day my husband and I had 2 friends over. We were all sitting around chatting in the living room. They were on the couch and we were on chairs facing them, and there was a coffee table between us. Anyway, as we were chatting, this white, partially transparent figure about 2 feet tall walked through the outside wall and walked between the coffee table and the couch. It just faded away once it got past the table. What makes it even weirder is, I kid you not, it was shaped like David the Gnome, that show we watched as kids. But it was kind of a wispy white. We all were like, did you see that? Exclamation mark. Question mark. Exclamation mark. We had all seen things, and I was part of a paranormal group. So we all wrote down what we saw separately and compared notes. We all saw the same thing. In that house we would also see black wisps and white wisps float through the air. If they hit a cabinet, the cabinet would shake. There were many more of the black ones, but we'd see the white ones on occasion. It was a weird house. I saw a little red imp with glowing yellow eyes hanging above my bedroom window after listening to a certain idosis sound. My grandma told me once back in her home county, her sister's husband had went into town to get bread and milk. His sister was sitting in their living room when the sister heard this blood-curdling scream, so she looked up to see a pale white woman stooping over the washtub. Hours later she was told her husband had committed suicide. I'm not sure what this is, but while I was driving home one night, I saw an incredibly tall, human-like figure dash across the road. It was pure white, long legs and arms. It was gone within seconds. I told my dad about it, and he said he saw something similar when he was a kid. He saw 2 tall, white human-like figures jump out of the back of a pickup truck and they ran very quickly. Sound like skinwalkers. When I was 9 years old we visited my mother's aunt who lived in a really old house. They had a huge garden and large stairs that you see in movies. When we were playing tag with her grandchildren and some other kids, I was running towards the stairs and made an abrupt stop when I saw a ghost figure with a large Kalashnikov. The weapon was also like a ghost. Can't really explain, but it was too vivid to be a dream, and it was clear daylight. I was so shocked and scared that I decided to go back to the garden where my mom was having tea with her aunt and mother and sit with them. When I was a child I was convinced I saw the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy. I previously knew that they were not real, but my belief wavered for a while when I saw a white ball of fuzziness standing on a shoe rack in the middle of the night, only to find chocolate eggs there the next morning. The Tooth Fairy I saw while I was talking to my mother in her kitchen, and saw a sparkle of light fly behind her and out through the window. I have no explanation of what I actually saw, but I know for a fact they were both while I was awake, and my mother never saw the light, and my sister followed me upstairs and never found a white ball of any kind. Still confuses me how I don't have a logical explanation for it. I've never told anyone this, but I lost my first tooth on vacation and there were 2 teeny tiny footprints in the dust on the windowsill in the room that I was sleeping in. I saw Ogopogo It was like 50 feet long and the fins were like huge paddles, the size of me, about 5 feet each. I used to hear people calling my name when I was young. I'd go inside and ask if anyone called for me, and they always said no. This was happening until I moved, and since then I haven't heard it since. My mother told me this many years ago and could not bring myself to tell anyone since it was so bizarre. This took place in the 1940-1950s era when customs were different than what they are today. This relative was driving home one evening from work in a wooded area of Kentucky. He was stopped at a stop sign and looked off to the side of the road and seen a little angel on the branch of the tree. He could not believe what he is seeing. He drove home and was informed his wife just delivered their first child. He was unaware that she went into labor. There were no cell phones back then, and he worked out in the field, so he had no contact. She delivered the child at home. The child was delivered a little earlier than expected. Both new parents were beyond thrilled. Later that week, he was driving home and happened to look off to the side of the road where he had seen the angel on the tree branch. This time, he seen an evil looking devil or creature on the branch. He had a sickening feeling inside. When he got home, he learned that his new baby had died. I cooked an ounce of mushrooms into tea on a camping trip and encountered a strange psychic being. After drinking most of it, I had this breakthrough experience where time essentially stood still and a mushroom-like figure with beady moth-like eyes pierced into my reality to telepathically communicate its intent to show me something. I was scared shitless and hesitated. So once the being realized my intent, it left just as quickly as it entered, but consciously. Time stood still as a black dot appeared, and as the dot got bigger, a long finger protruded through, and then came the rest of the being. Haven't really tried again though, because as fascinated as I am I really going to consciously surrender myself? When I was 12, creepypastas were still a huge thing. I would read a lot of them. One morning I woke up early. It was still dark, and I needed to go to the bathroom. So I go. I didn't turn on the lights because I was able to see just enough make my way without tripping. The thing is, I have to go through a corridor. Then at the end there is a bedroom, and on the left it's the bathroom. When I got close enough, the bedroom door was open. I saw some kind of shadowy figure sitting in a chair in the room. I spent a couple seconds trying to see right and make some sense out of it. When I decided to turn on the light of the room, I swear I saw it stand up. And it was huge. Like super tall. Basically 12-year-old me thought that it was Slenderman or something. So I freaked out and ran back to my room. It was an illusion. But to the day I can't still figure out what exactly happened. Dude, I've seen something like this before. Me and my cousin were gonna play a prank on his little brother saying we saw Slenderman. My cousin runs into the woods, screams really loud, and comes running back with tears running down his face. He told me he really saw him. I didn't believe him, but when I went with him there was something there. It had no legs though. It was just like it was floating on a cloud with the same faceless head and suit that Slenderman had. I want to believe it was an active imagination, but we both saw it at the same time. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.